Hey everybody, welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Mitch English along with Andrea Jackson. And today we're going to be talking about new relationships.
Yeah, the big question, how do you find new love after divorce? Relationship trauma expert Dr. Janie Lacy is here with her professional advice. Hey, Dr. Janie.
Hi, Dr. Janie.
Hello, guys. So happy to be here.
We're happy to have you here. I should have found you about 5 years ago, but I lucked out and I found my love of my life. But there's some emotional challenges that people really have to face and really actually open up to when they're looking for new love after divorce. What are they? And what's some problems that are things that people do wrong that maybe could change their life and trying to find somebody new?
Well, there's no doubt, Mitch, after someone has gone through a divorce, they can face a lot of different emotional challenges. So some of the things that I'll see with some of the people that I work with, the number one thing is the fear of vulnerability, right? So they've been down that road, they've been hurt, they've opened themselves up. So especially if there's been a failed relationship, they struggle with this ideal of opening themselves up again, because we also know it takes vulnerability. And then what we also see with that fear of a vulnerability is trust issues, and not necessarily about trusting someone else. It's also about trusting their own judgment, because they're like, well, I was in this relationship before, I was divorced, and obviously I didn't pick right. So we'll see that for many times, as well as a couple of other challenges. Like we see people that carry their guilt and their shame, especially if they feel like they were the cause of the previous relationship breakup. So entering into that new relationship, you have to deal with your baggage. And a lot of times people don't truly deal with the baggage that they're bringing into that new relationship.
Man, you are just pressing buttons. I'm like raising my hand on everything you said. You're 100% right. And once you get through it, the new relationship really blossoms.
This is true.
Too.
We did some research, believe it or not, Dr. Janie. We sent our folks out to the street. What would you say to this guy? Take a listen.
Listen.
I've never had a wife.
Mm-hmm.
I accidentally shared my last name with someone who belonged to the streets.
Okay,
Says that
never
he
had a wife,
Yeah.
but shared his last name with someone who belongs on the streets.
Where
do you begin?
Yeah, where do you begin with that? First of all, I like the guy's hat.
Well, we can break a lot of things down based off of what he said. But what I would say based off of what he shared is that the person he was in the relationship with, he didn't know her, and I would assume that perhaps she didn't have any boundaries when he said that she's for the streets. But, what I would share with him is making it less about her and more about his healing journey. Because especially when someone has betrayed us, or they turned out to not be the person who you thought you're in a relationship with, it's easy to kind of really fall into that victim mode. And I understand that there are true victims out there, but in order to get yourself back up, you really have to look at, okay, what can I learn from this situation, and what would I do differently going forward? So I think that would be extremely important for me to share with him. And yeah, his hat was great.
And guess what? He's still single.
Yeah. But you'd have to take his last name, and he might think you're off the streets. Listen, okay, the biggest thing is you're in this new relationship. How, maybe you're with somebody that was like that, or yourself, how can you tell if you've actually healed from that relationship?
Everyone's journey is going to be different, right? So it's not a linear process. It's almost like a zigzag when I think about the healing process. But there are some key things that I would suggest that you look for. Number one is emotional stability. People come and keep me in business because of their emotional stability, right? So emotional stability, this is where they can think about their past relationships without getting these intense emotional reactions. So they can have feelings about them, but if they don't become overwhelming, and sometimes when we see people become overwhelming when they're talking about their spouse in the past and they have these negative reactions towards them, there's a sign that potentially they're not in that place of healing. So acceptance, this is what has happened in my past, and they don't stay stuck there. And another sign that I would highly suggest people look for is their ability to self-reflect. So if they're talking about it's all the other person's fault and they have not taken any responsibility or any level of learning from that relationship, you're probably going to get a precursor to what it's going to be like with that person, as far as not taking responsibility potentially. And, there's some other things I would highly suggest. Do they have the ability to really be able to be emotionally available to you, to sit in your presence, hear your side of whatever you're going through in your life without trying to overcorrect or trying to interrupt, right? So communication skills is going to be key. And those are things that you can pick up in the dating relationship, how someone communicates, how they listen, how they're present with you.
You mentioned a key word there, acceptance. Many people feel hesitant about dating again post divorce, especially if they've been cheated on. What advice do you have for building confidence and re entering the dating scene?
First, they have to heal.
Yeah.
So before diving back into the dating scene, that they have to go through a process. And I can't necessarily say it has to be going to therapy, but they have to go through a process where they're emotionally on a healing journey, and that can involve therapy. That can also involve self-reflection and simply just giving yourself time. But we know that time alone, right? It's going to be what you're doing in that time, and it's not healthy to get under someone else to try to get over the next person. So really take the time. And then what I also suggest is redefining your worth. Sometimes people come from a divorce or a failed relationship and they will tie that to their self-worth. So they have to remember, especially if their ex-partner had some type of infidelity, that is not a reflection of who they are. That was a reflection of that person's choices and not their values. And other things I would share is to start slow. There's no rush. This is not a sprint, and your worth is not defined by being in a relationship. Some people choose not to be in a relationship or choose not to be married, and that is their choice. And setting realistic expectations for your life, especially if you have kids and you have a thriving career, right? You have to really understand that not every day will also lead to potential long-term relationship. A couple other things I'll share is just really being honest with yourself and others. Focus on your personal,
I
find
imagine so.
yourself other people. Absolutely.
Janie, thank you so much. More information about finding new love after divorce, go to our website, dailyflashshow.com, or you can check out janielacy.com. She also has a podcast you want to check out. We're going to have you more because, well, you got so much to
love her
say. We
advice.
love having you on, Janie. Thank you.
Thank you.